Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network invite you to discover your mission. A brand new in-depth monthly video series featuring engaging Catholic speakers who will challenge you to live your life abundantly. For only $25 a month, you will receive a personal monthly mission, including 3 full-length inspirational talks that build upon a new theme each month. Sign up for the Discover Your Mission tier at patreon.com/patchworkheartministry today.
Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend Ann DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. I am Bill Snyder, and it is wonderful to be with you here on the final week of Advent. I know it's a little bit surprising to say that already. We seem like we're here, and already without even any warning, but we've passed the winter solstice, and we are on to Christmas in just a few days. So, Anne, how are you? And welcome to the program as always.
Oh, I'm doing great. I love Christmas, and I especially love Advent as we're awaiting. So it's very exciting. It really is.
Yeah, it's those final days before the King comes, right?
That's right.
And we have a great guest with us today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
Yes, he's actually a friend of mine, my daughter's, my family's. His name is Tyler McKenzie. He's from the Allentown, PA area. He is an actor, model, and singer, and he's aspiring as he's growing into this career in acting, and he's done so much and has a big future ahead of him, and so much to share about his love of the arts and how the arts has really enriched his life and made him a better person and live out his mission even in even greater ways.
So cool. Well, Tyler, welcome, man, and thanks for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. How are you guys today?
Doing great.
Yeah, doing great. Awesome. And so anyway, yeah, Tyler, you met my daughter, Sean, a couple years back at DeSales University, where the two of you were students there at the time. And then you and I connected as my daughter had enlightened me about your desire to want to learn more about commercial acting and modeling, and especially in this Philadelphia area where you and I are both from. And so you and I have been doing our personal lessons, I guess we could call it, right? Where we've been talking on the phone and been practicing how you can get more involved in the field. So I thought we could just start out with, we'd love to hear, how did you get involved in this world of acting, and just tell us about your life and your love of the arts.
Yeah, so when I was younger, much younger, I grew up going to New York with my family, and we would see Broadway shows around the Christmas season every year. And my mom was also part of the church choir at my church, and so I was involved with music, and I started taking piano lessons when I was 4 years old with the church choir director. So it kind of started from there. Music was always a big part of my life because everybody in my family, well, my mother and my grandmother did it. And then as I got older, I also started really liking film and watching movies, specifically like the Star Wars movies. So I really wanted to be in a Star Wars movie so bad. And then, I also love singing. So then it was funny because I found out about musical theater, and I realized, wow, I can be in a movie like thing and I can sing at the same time. Whoa. So then I started doing musical theater, and I did a community theater production of A Christmas Carol when I was 10 years old. And then I went to middle school and I started doing shows there. And then I did shows at my high school, and I started taking lessons, competing in competitions. just getting ready for college, basically, to do it professionally.
Cool.
And yeah, thank you. And I've loved it my entire life. I honestly can't see myself doing anything else. A lot of people will, have like, some people say, oh, I wanted to be a veterinarian when I grow up. Um, and then obviously as you get older, that changes. But for me, I've always wanted to be an actor, and that has not changed, which I think is a really, really cool thing for me because I've focused on that this whole time.
Yeah, that's cool. And I love that you combine it with singing. And you mentioned that you were singing at such a young age at church with your mom, and you said your grandmother did it too. And so what was that experience like? Because you were pretty young. You said you were only 4 years old when you started doing that.
Yes, so actually I was the youngest person on the church choir because I would be able to I couldn't read music yet. I couldn't even read regular lyrics. But my mom would play it at home, and then I would listen to it and basically memorize the words that way, from doing it with my mom. And then I would sing on pitch. I was a little soprano, you know. And I would sing with everybody, and that's kind of how it all got started, honestly. Um, it's my mom. My mom was a huge inspiration and a huge help for all of that. I mean, she did theater growing up too, so it kind of runs in the bloodline, you know. But yeah, I was the youngest person in the church choir, and they just kind of said, "All right, Tracy, that's my mom's name. Just take him and teach him the notes, and hopefully it all works out." And it did. So
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then you wound up going to DeSales University uh, for musical theater, I believe. And that's how you met
yes,
my daughter, Sean. But then
yes,
now you've decided that instead of going in that particular direction, that you wanted to do more getting into really as an actor in the Philadelphia area and in where maybe New York as well. I know you said that the sky's the limit, right? You would be open to going to wherever the work
absolutely
is.
anything.
Right. And
Yeah,
and I do that as a hobby. I do some commercial modeling and acting here and there because my primary profession is working as the director for a foundation, as most people know that listen to this podcast. But that's where you came to me and wanted to know, how do I break into this field? And as been teaching you when we get together for these Zoom calls, is that a lot of it is just first knowing how to market yourself, and also learning the basics of how to be a commercial model and actor.
yes, it is really all about the connections and
Yes,
your ability to market yourself, to meet with other people that will hopefully get you work, or hopefully lead you on to the next step, um, which is what obviously we're doing together, and it's been wonderful. Um, but but yeah, there's so many little, it's not just you can't just be talented. You have to put in the business side of show business. It's show and business, you know. And so it's important to do the business side, which is basically like what we talk about a lot. And hopefully I'm making strides to go to that next step, so that then I can put the show into the show business, you know.
exactly. And I think a lot of it comes from inside our hearts, and God gives all of us talents. And that's part of our faith, isn't it? Is that we are given gifts and talents. And I know a lot of the people that Bill and I have had on Sowing Hope are people that are using their talents to do good for the whole world. And I think your way, Tyler, at least from what I'm seeing with your love of the arts, the arts are so important in our world. And we have to remember that that's one way that we can be closer to God, is when we see the talent of someone else through their singing or their artwork or some type of performance, right? That we're able to
Yeah.
get closer to God when we see how God has gifted that person. And I think it's amazing how you're using those art. So I wondered now, at the age of 4, then you started getting involved in singing. So what happened next from that point through, say, elementary school and into high school that helped you to continue on that path? I know you're a big lover of, you said, Star Wars and Disney. And I know
Yeah.
that you even were in Disney recently, because I believe that you were doing that with something to do with school, wasn't it? Wasn't there some kind of
Yes,
connection
I was
there?
doing the Disney college program. I was doing the Disney college program, which is an internship. So they basically will send us, you would apply to it um, through your school, and then you go down and you get to work there for a semester. Unfortunately, the semester I was chosen for was this past the beginning of this past year, so January to March, and then I had to unfortunately come home due to the pandemic. But no, Disney's been a huge inspiration to my life. A lot of the music I listened to growing up was, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. We had those CDs, and that's what I would fall asleep listening to. So I definitely think that was part of the musical theater inspiration for me. You know.
Yes.
Um, and then you asked, growing up, what did I do, like singing wise, or
Yeah, I just meant, obviously, at a young age. I mean, it's pretty amazing. You started to develop that talent, and then through your elementary and high school years, you were headed toward wanting to do something in the field, which took you to DeSales, and now it's in turn taking you to another direction. So I just wondered if you could share more with us that path that you took to where you are now.
yeah. So I decided probably in high school that I mean, of course, growing up, I always said I want to do this for a living, but in high school, then I really set it in stone. I really said, okay, I am taking 5 dance lessons a week. I'm taking an acting lesson and a voice lesson a week. I'm in choir at my school. I'm doing all the shows, playing leading and supporting roles. And so then I decided, well, I'm gonna audition for schools. And so I auditioned, and I got into the sales, and I did a semester there in the theater department. But I'm also the type of person who really likes being in the field with working professionals. Um, and that's, to no discredit of the sales or any educational theater program at all. But I ended up then the next semester going out to California, and I took a lot of classes with actors um, who were currently working in either LA, San Francisco, New York, and it's a whole different world, because you're getting that experience from people who are, really, grinding and on that work and that industry, and trying to make it as well. And so then afterwards I came back home, and I ended up switching my major to finance, because I realized, wow, I also probably need a backup plan, just not a backup plan, something to fall back on, something else to do, as Bob Charger recently told me, that's a great way of putting it, is something else, something else to do, not a backup plan, because that assumes that your A plan will not work out, but hopefully the A plan will work out. um and then so once I started doing finance, I started then taking all my classes. I would go to New York, and I started working with teachers in New York City, who then connected me with my current acting teacher in London. Um, and so now, after well, prior to the pandemic, I was in Disney, and then I came home, and then this past year has really been just me trying to get everything prepared to take that next step. So as soon as hopefully this all clears out, as soon as it does, I'm ready to step my foot into that industry and really start auditioning and meeting people and all that good stuff.
Awesome.
So
No, it sounds like, you've really approached things so well, in such a balanced way. And I think it's a big lesson for a lot of young people out there listening to this now. I know we have a very varied audience, that listens to this show. But if you're young and you know, beginning year in college, you kind of want to understand a little bit about how to approach things and how to approach them well. Tyler, I think you've really thought it through, and there's a lot of lessons in understanding your passion too. Following passion is really important. But a good ordered passion, like you have, wanting to bring these talents and use these talents. One of the things that kind of struck me earlier as you were talking was how we come to a greater awareness of our faith. And we can come to those through different ways: the truth of the faith, the goodness, seeing goodness in the world, and also beauty. And those kind of three ways that people can come into a deeper awareness and understanding of their faith is absolutely beautiful, because I think you, in your passion of acting, uh, bring beauty into the world in a unique way. Each and every
thank you.
person's talent brings beauty into the world. Whether it's a writer, whether it's a playwright, or a director of a movie, they all bring to life on screen or on stage the beauty and the tragedy sometimes of the human condition. And so that is uh, a very cool thing. I would love to know just a little bit about how your faith made an impact on your life and your talent as well, as you've been developing this passion and following it in a really ordered and nice way. Tell us a little bit about how your faith has developed and grown for young people out there.
Thank you. So especially with acting, um, it is a really, really tough industry to get your voice, out there and heard. And some actors even write their own films to get their talent out there. So I definitely think faith is crucial to to this industry because there's going to be a lot of no's. There's more no's than yeses, and you need to just have faith in God that eventually, after 200 or 300 no's, there's going to be that one yes, that that takes you on to the next step. And I think it's crucial to believe in that, and to know that if right now it's tough and it feels like you're not going anywhere, but hopefully God can will lead you there, and you need to remember that, and you need to stay focused on that. And I feel like the more you believe in that, the easier that those trials or those no's will be on yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
It does.
complete sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's crucial because without faith, it's going to be a really, really hard path. And and that goes for generally almost every career. Um, whether you're an engineer, or you're a writer, or a singer, or in the health field. I mean, of course, right now especially,
Mhm.
you know. So it's very important that you stick to that, and you believe that your faith will carry you to where you're meant to be.
Beautiful.
Because otherwise, I would have quit a long time ago. You know.
Yes. You are an amazing person. I mean that. And one thing I love about your personality and just who you are is that you have very good follow through, and you have a real desire to get good advice. So when you came to me, when you came to my daughter Sean, and you said, "What can your mom do maybe to help me to learn more about this world of acting and modeling?" Now, granted, I will admit I don't do it as much of an art. I do. I have done some commercials in different areas, such as pharmaceuticals, other types of businesses, big companies, small companies, but not as much as, like, I'm not involved in singing or anything like that. It's pretty much just TV commercials, ads, and things like that. But I have learned something about the field of working with casting directors and trying to get more work, and having gone through an agency, a modeling and acting agency, which got me started into the field in the Philadelphia area, and even done a little bit of background work on a couple TV shows, which was fun too, up in New York. So I just see you as a person who you have an open slate. You ask all the right questions, and I think that's amazing. And
Thank
not
you.
everybody, yeah, not everybody your age too has a great respect for adults. I'll be honest. I mean, like parents' age, grandparents, things like that. I know that you spent quite a bit of time on the phone with a very good friend and a former guest of this show, which is Bob Charger. You mentioned his name. Uh, tell them how long you and Bob were on the phone. I thought that was amazing that you guys spent
Yeah.
so much time chatting.
We spoke for what I believe was 3.5 hours. And let me tell you, it was so much fun. And hearing his stories, I mean, I just, growing up, I would ask my grandfather to tell me stories all the time. I just love hearing stories and the lessons that you can learn from the previous generations. And let me tell you, Bob Charger has lots and lots of lessons to tell, and I enjoyed every single minute of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's amazing.
he is. And for those listeners who don't know Bob, I mean, you can, of course, go back and listen to the episode of Bob's show on Sowing Hope, but he is a legendary disc jockey in the Philadelphia area with WOGL, which happened to be the station that I grew up listening to, driving from Malvern down to my grandmother's house pretty much every pretty much every weekend with my dad. And so hearing his voice again on this program and having him on Sowing Hope was awesome. And yeah, he has so many amazing stories to teach people, and so much wisdom from being in the business. And I think that's one of the big things that we can look at as people, as a reminder that, you know, our experiences, our success, you know, ultimately are not our own. You know, because when you talk with somebody for 3.5 hours, you're giving them the insight, the wisdom, you know, things that they've never had before, to be able to coach and help. And so, you know, if you're out there listening to this, maybe you've got a few more whiskers, and you know, it doesn't matter what you are. You know, you could be a great accountant, you could be a great, you know, basketball player, you could be whatever, you know, but there's that movie, you know, Pay It Forward, but, you know, pay it forward, you know, go and, you know, help somebody out who's younger, who needs to hear those stories, because, you know, the reason God gave you your story is not, you know, is not for your own glorification. It is for others' glorification. So, and for His glorification in the world. So that is, you know, just a great thing. I'm so glad you were able to have a good conversation with him, and I hope, you know, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, Tyler, you'll be able to look back and have a 3.5 hour conversation with someone younger than younger like yourself now.
Thank you. I would, knowing how I am now, it'd be a 6-hour conversation once I get up there. No, and I think mentorship is crucial to any field, especially, you know, the acting field. One of the things, and who operates Florence Belsky Foundation, and basically it's a foundation that sets you up with mentors in your field. And I've had amazing conversations with people because of that, and I think mentorship is crucial because there is that torch of wisdom that needs to be passed on, and that's something that I've been doing since high school. I have a younger a younger man who he's about 15, who I mentor, and I've been mentoring since high school because now he's going through all the high school theater and all the drama that ensues with that. So I'm always there to help him out with that.
Awesome.
You know?
So you're paying it forward, like Bill said,
Yeah.
and I think that's amazing. And mentorship, as you both said, is just so important, and also respect, because I think sometimes that whatever age we're in, whether we're your age, Tyler, I know you just had your 22nd birthday, whether you're Bill's age, my age, whatever, we can get stuck into just our own little sort of like peer group. But when you can go outside of that group and say, there's something to be learned from someone who's older than me, someone who's younger than me, someone who is my age. And I think you've done that so well. I mean, I'm really glad you did get a chance to talk to Bob Charger. And I know you're always asking to get connected with great people. I know you just mentioned someone else that we both know, which would be Dan Snyder, and some other people that you've talked to in the acting field. One of them, another one is another guest on this show, Mike Provenzano, who is also a guest on Sowing Hope, that I know you had a chance connecting with him as well.
Yes, yes, and he's doing some great work right now. He's also somebody who's very diligent in this field, and like you said, his ultimate goal is to be in a Hallmark movie. So he's definitely somebody who is working as hard as possible to get to that end goal, and it was great speaking with him.
Yeah, yeah, and you made a good point, because when you're involved in this field of acting or modeling or whatever it is, something to do with the entertainment industry, you do have to work it just like you do any other job. Because like you said, Tyler, you're going to have a lot more no's in your auditions than you do yeses. You could do 5 or 10 auditions and maybe you might get one job out of those 10. And actually you're doing pretty good if you do that. So you have to remember that those auditions are life lessons for all of us, aren't they? They're life lessons.
Yes.
And we can never
Yes.
take
Yeah,
them.
auditions are
Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say auditions are you do a lot more auditioning than you do performing, but each one you learn something new, but each audition is not a chance to apply for a job, but rather the opportunity to perform and show your craft and share your craft with an audience. That's at least how I look at it. It takes a lot of the stress off, and it's more about sharing your gift rather than gunning for that job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of times you can learn something as well from just the audition process, and other people can learn from you in your audition. A lot of times, you think about how you approach and prepare for things in life, and when you approach and prepare appropriately, there's no time is wasted. Either you're developing your skill, you're getting some insight from somebody else, which I think is really important, or you're sharing with them something that you need to share with them, right? Like you sharing your talent. It might be another person in the room that needs to see that needs to hear the way you say that, to and that witness never goes unnoticed by somebody. You may never hear about it, you may never see about it, but that witness of you in that moment auditioning, I think, enables people out there to encounter you in a different way that will change their lives. It could be another person auditioning that happened to see it, or the way you met them in the hallway, or whatever that is. There's a reason you're there, and God placed you in those situations, in those auditions. Even if
Yes.
it comes out empty, even if you come out empty, know you made an impact somewhere, or an impact was made and impressed upon you to deepen your development, to deepen your uh, skill set. And so that is such a I think a powerful lesson, and one, if you can realize at your age, Tyler, is certainly gives you a huge advantage. Not that you're looking for one, but a huge advantage toward um, you know being successful. And again, we're not called necessarily to be successful, but that's great.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I think we're having a great conversation
No, but it
this morning. And Tyler, honestly, I think that you do have what it takes to use those gifts to the maximum amount. And Bill mentioned success. You're right. It's not about whether does the whole world think that we're perfect or that we are successful. That's not what matters. It matters that we're using those talents that God has given us. And I think your desire to want to do that is enough itself. Really, I think it's enough because you have not only the desire, but you have the openness to ask questions, get help, like you've done for me and from other people like Bob Charger and others. So I think that's really incredible that you're doing that. Um, I thought we could talk also about the entertainment industry because you've learned a little bit about it, and you and I've talked on the phone and during these meetings that we've had just to kind of help you to move ahead in the field. Is that the entertainment industry is nowhere near perfect. We both know that, and and there's good and bad. I hate to say that. There is a lot of good, but there is some that you have to watch out for. So I wondered if you had any words to say about that as you're meeting people and as you're applying for jobs to get in commercials and in acting. Um, what have you learned so far, and what do you like best about the entertainment industry?
So on your point, I think the one thing that's very crucial is sticking to your ethics and your morals, and not just doing something for a role because, well, it's a role and I want to, if it's something you're uncomfortable with, then you don't do it. You know what I mean? Um, what I love about it is that we are able to, as actors, that we are able to have a voice that can influence people. But now what's crucial about that is that you make sure that your voice is used to influence people in a good way, and you don't, you use, as they say in the Spider-Man comic, with great power comes great responsibility. So you use you use it for a good purpose, and I think that that's what's really awesome about the industry. And of course, I love why I love film and theater is being able to create or create an like make somebody feel a certain emotion, or change somebody's opinion on a topic because of your performance, in a good way, of course. And I always loved that about the field and the industry, is that you are able to share a gift that will hopefully better the audience or whoever's watching you, because
Hmm.
it could be I could be just performing for my mom. So you know and if it makes somebody feel something, I think that's what's most important.
Yeah, I think that especially this time of year, Christmas time, and you mentioned, I know, that you were in A Christmas Carol, right? Which is a
Yes.
phenomenal story. Uh, you know, Charles Dickens, I think everybody on the planet kind of knows his story, at least here in America anyway. But and England, but
Yeah.
of course, Britain, right? But no, I, I, one of the things I think that we can talk a little bit about is too the emotion, and you mentioned the word emotion, and so here for us and Christians at this time of year, we believe that God became incarnate. He became an emotional human being. I think one of the biggest things that I talk about and like to remind people is that Jesus is fully human, and he came to be human, and that means that he took on emotions. That means he laughed, he cried, he danced at weddings. I mean, he was fully human. And so, talk a little bit about, you mentioned like helping people feel emotions. I think we're in a society where we've taken, we take a pill so we don't feel emotion. We take a pill so we don't feel, uh, compelled to, feel sad or angry or whatever. But like then we portray these things on stage, and we're hoping that people resonate with them, right? So like there's something that is beautiful about emotion and helping people experience it, because otherwise we don't have a distant God. We don't have a God that just sits up there and sends lightning bolts down. He helps us, by becoming one of us. So talk to us a little bit about that emotion and what that means to you to help bring people in touch with their emotions during a performance.
Yeah, I think at our core, as humans, we are emotional beings. Um, and it is a shame that, especially with everything that goes on right now, is in society that we almost are losing that. We see these things in the news, and we're almost, it feels like losing touch with. It's almost just like it's I don't know how to say it, like losing touch with our emotions, because we just see these things happening, and we're a passive bystander. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
and I think getting in touch with our emotions and using them for good is crucial, because I mean there's tons of emotions out there,
Yeah.
but you know but sticking with the ones that are positive, and that's what's important. And I mean, on the flip side though, right, about art and theater is you there are bad characters in a film or a show, and you can see what emotions drive them. It could
Right.
be anger or fear, hatred, things like that really drive those villains um to do the bad things that they do. And as an audience member, you're like, wow, look at how look at what could happen if I let something like that take control of me. Which is also why I think then there's the characters who are redeemed, and I think that's why we love those kind of characters who have the emotions of fear and pain, but then you get to see them grow and overcome those obstacles. um and that also is inspiring to watch on screen and on stage. Again, I stick to the idea that it is crucial that we use our art for good,
Mm.
and to bring serenity to somebody, or to bring peace and um, clarity to to something, or to a situation.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I'm so glad you said that, and I'm so glad, especially for young people,
Thank you.
to hear that, because a lot of times, again, we try to escape our emotions. We try not to feel them. We try to lock them up, and
Yeah.
artwork, true good artwork, brings it out of us. I mean, beauty brings it out of us,
Yes.
and so that's what you're talking about, and it's such a beautiful thing that first of all you recognize it. I think a large piece of society just lives moment to moment, and to experience whatever it might be that they're trying to experience. But now when you do it with intentionality, when you're talking intentionally about, okay, I'm doing this for a purpose, I'm doing this for a reason, I'm bringing to light a certain issue here,
Yes.
in in A Christmas Carol. I'm bringing to light the redemption aspect, right? And the amazing thing is that you think about the number of performances of just that particular stage production, or that and even things that have been adapted for film, right? Uh, how many different actors and actresses have brought something new, some emotion, some type of performance to that unlocks another part of the human character just from that one play, right? And that's pretty amazing. So if you're called to be a part of that or being a part of any production, know that you're doing good.
Yeah, totally agree. And
Yes,
I just want to congratulate
I
you.
100% agree.
Yeah, yeah. It's Bill. Thanks for exactly
Thank
how you
you.
articulated that, and Tyler, you certainly have a wonderful vision of what you want to do with your life to use those talents. And on that note, I wondered if you could talk about, right now you're in this learning phase and you're hoping to grow moving forward in the field of acting and possibly, I guess, theater too, right? And singing. So
Yes.
what is your vision for the future as far as working in the entertainment field?
So the the dream is of course to originate and create, a brand new character, to get to do a brand new play, or a brand new film, to originate and create a role that wasn't there before. I think that that's like the dream of any actor, is to create a role from the ground up and create this new person, that is on stage or on film. Um, and then the childhood dream of mine is to work in a Star Wars or a Marvel film. That's the that's the lofty goal. But honestly, for me, as long as I am able to do my art and to create and tell stories, while at the same time make a living out of it, that's enough. As long as I have a place to live and stay while I create these characters, there's nothing else more I need. I don't need the limelight. I don't need the spotlight. I don't need the awards. I just want to be able to practice the craft and the art and inspire others whilst doing it.
Yeah, that's incredible, and it's honest of you to admit that too, because it's a goal for yourself personally that enriches others, and it's not about your own pat on the back or your own fame. So I think that's really a godly way of looking at it. And when I say godly, I just mean that in a way that you're looking at it in a very humble way, and humble I mean in a very positive sense, that you're wanting to take the gifts that God has given you and use them to the fullest. So tell us also what you're doing right now as you're preparing. I know that you have been doing a lot of classes. You also work part time. So tell us about your life now, because that's also a reflection of which direction you're going in.
Yeah, so I'm currently trying to put in all of the work so that when the world opens back up and everybody, hopefully everything goes back to normal, I'm able to step my foot into the industry. And so I have been taking numerous classes. I work with a wonderful teacher in London named Mel Churcher, and I take voice lessons every week. And I'm also working on a project with another voice teacher, um, but that's like about vocal science and the nitty-gritty like that. That's just more of like a hobby, because that's just a really interesting topic for me. But then for my career, um, I've been connecting with people out in California and Philadelphia and New York, um, and people, honestly, people all over the world, because I'm looking to get an agent, so that I can apply for those those bigger, supporting roles on TV shows and stuff like that. Um, and prior to doing that, I know I need to get new headshots, so I'm working out every day. Like I'm really trying to to crack down on my look, and because that's crucial, as vain as that sounds, it is crucial to this industry, is that you look your best. And so I'm working out every day and eating the right food so that once I get my headshots done, it'll be a representation of what I currently look like. I'm also creating an acting reel to showcase my skills. And in that reel, I am currently writing 3 short films, and I will be directing them as well. That will hopefully showcase my best performances and talents. Um, and so 3 little short films that one will be about determination, one will be about um, relationships and how we go about certain things in a relationship, and then the third one will be about how it's actually a horror film, and it's about our own our own almost hypocritical tendencies that we have as people. We can it's about judging that other person when you have tons of things going on that you have no right to be judging that other person for. You know what I mean? And they're all fun, and I'm gonna put them together into a reel. I'm also working on a feature film script with my best friend, Dan Przinski, and that will hopefully that'll get off the ground, and we'll see where that goes. And once I get that reel created, I will be sending it out to some connections I've made out in California and in New York. And then I also have been creating a website with your daughter, Sean, and she's been a great help because I have no skills when it comes to, I mean, I know how to work technology, but making a website, didn't know how to do that. So we've been working on that. So hopefully I can put everything in one place. My resume, headshots, reel. I'm also creating another reel that is just my singing. So like three little songs to showcase my singing ability, because um that's also super important to have. And so I'm working on those songs right now, and hopefully I'll be able to film them and put that all together. I feel like that'll be a lot less work to do than the film reel, just because it's one take, and then that's it. But hopefully all of that hard work pays off, and of course I'm working with you, and working with my teachers, and communicating with them about what I want to do next, and what do we have to do to get to that level. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but I'm
I like
staying
how
faithful.
proactive
That's
you're, yeah, staying
very important.
faithful. That's right. I love how proactive you are about
Thank
your
you.
life, and you're so good with follow up. So if somebody's listening, if any of my friends or Bill's friends who are
Yeah.
involved in anything to do with the arts, talent, entertainment, Tyler has very, very good follow up. And I think that's really probably at least half of it, really, is being a person of your word and a person who is trying to open themselves up to learning more. I wondered, as a final word on this show, if you could say anything to young people who are looking to grow in faith and also to grow in their love of the arts, because you had that love from a very early age.
Yeah, I think, to anybody who's listening, anybody, I mean, even maybe somebody who's 35, and they just decided, you know what? I want to do acting. I want to try that out, or I want to start painting. Um, don't let anybody tell you no. Don't let anybody ever say you can't do that, because 10 times out of 10 they're wrong, because you can do whatever you set your mind to, and it is a disservice to you and your gift and the people around you to not share it. So I believe, if you're 12 years old, and you're doing music, and you're doing musicals, and you're making little short films, on your phone, just keep at it. One day somebody's going to notice that, and it'll take you to dreams and paths and trails that you never thought were possible. And again, stick to it. Don't let anybody ever say you can't do it. Don't let anybody ever try to divert you or diverge you from that path, because that path was laid in front of you. And I think it's crucial that you stay on that path and you move forward on it, without any distractions.
Perfect advice.
Yeah, it's great, Tyler. Man, thank you so much for being with us today on this episode of Sowing Hope. It's been wonderful to have you on today, and certainly love to have you back on the program. Just great.
Thank you. I would love to be back. I had a great time.
Awesome. Well, folks,
Thank you.
as we wrap up, I want to remind you all that you can actually, if you've been enjoying our Advent pilgrimage via Parousia Media, if you would like to keep all of the videos for a lifetime, you can. All you have to do is head over to parousiamedia.com. There'll be a link to direct you to be able to keep them. It's only $20 to keep them on demand forever. All 27 videos and the amazing live, recordings and live sessions with the liturgy guys and a bunch of other amazing people. So please head over that way if you'd like. If you've been enjoying it, free access ends on Christmas. So if you want to catch up, if you've missed a few, or you want to continue to watch these videos, please head over to Parousia Media to do that. But Ann, I know we're getting close to the Christmas season, so we should definitely wish people a remainder of the happy Advent and Merry Christmas as well, if people are listening to this after Christmas.
Amen. Amen. Well, we wish everyone a beautiful remainder of Advent and a blessed Christmas. It was a challenging year for all of us, but when we look right at the most important piece of what's happening right now is the celebration of our Savior, the celebration of faith, the celebration of that. Yes, we do believe, and we have so much hope. So Tyler, I thank you for giving people a bit of hope on this morning, and also sharing your gifts and your talents, which is really a gift from God that you're giving to other people. Thank you for being a guest on Sowing Hope.
And thank you for giving me a platform to share it. And I enjoyed my time, and I would love to be back. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Awesome. Merry Christmas.
I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes. Well, folks,
that's right.
Until next time, from all of us here at Patchwork Heart Ministry and the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation and Fiat Ministry Network, keep beating to your Catholic hearts, sowing hope into broken hearts. I'm Bill Snyder. Merry Christmas.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Andy Santis 2.